Sorry guys, that wound up getting cut off. I'll try this again. We'll see if I actually reach my audience now, because I wasn't reaching it before. They've definitely blacklisted me, and there's no doubts about that now. Anyway, what I wanted to cover in this video are things that you want to avoid if you want to have really good health, sustainable health. If you want to get out of pain, if you want to like function great, what I'm going to cover in this video should help you guys a lot. I'm making this for people that I've been working with recently. I'm going to send this over to them, and hopefully it helps them out. Hopefully they follow some of the protocols that I lay out, and they have a better life as a result. I'm a big proponent of trying to get rid of things. Like I believe that addition through subtraction is the way that you should approach your life. Like, find out what you have to get rid of before you begin to ask what you have to like add on. And the reason that I say that is because in modern times, because of the internet, people have access to so many different things that would make them feel, or they have access to so many different things that they can try. And these days, like people are not lacking knowledge. People are not lacking perspective. Like, people know what the Paleolithic diet is. People know what carnivore diets are. People, like, 10 years ago, the idea of going carnivore was dubbed as insane. Like, people went viral for saying that they were eating carnivore 10 years ago. Nowadays, it's kind of like, oh yeah, that person just eats a carnivore diet. Look, that person's eating paleo chips. They're just, instead of eating potato chips, they're eating chicken chips or something like that. It's like, people have kind of become desensitized, and I think right now, I made myself aware of so many of these things a long time ago, so I'm obviously ahead of the curve when it comes to all this. And so you have to be, if you're trying to fix people. You got to get to the point quickly. And so what I learned from a long time ago is that the best way that you can add to your health is by subtracting the things that don't help you. I'll try and keep this as basic as possible. I don't want to get too technical because it like racks my brain having to break all this shit down, because I don't memorize the things that I read. Like, I just kind of like the people that are academics, they'll memorize like different neural pathways, what chemicals are doing in their body, what the electron transport chains are doing. I'm not one of those guys. For me, I just really care about, and I suggest you guys do the same thing, because the more that you complicate health, the harder it becomes to attain. So for me, it's just more along the lines of that. So long as I get like a basic understanding of what gets me healthy, I don't really care to understand all the details that come with it. Like, it doesn't really matter. The only reason that I ever care to go down into being technical every once in a while is just to illustrate to people that are a bit more intelligent that there's a reasoning behind me doing what I do. So that's why I will go down a technical rabbit hole from time to time. I don't like to do it though. It's just like, it's just redundant. Like, for me, it's personally redundant, and it's like, I know it's beneficial for my audience, but for the influencer that's trying to like, for most influencers, they're never innovating anything. So for them, it's like they have to recite the same shit over and over again to be perceived as useful. And so to me, it's more along the lines, give me a second, guys. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of light here. Boom, boom. That's just too bright. I wish they had like a better setting on here. Anyway, let's keep it simple. I want to try and keep this simple because I don't feel like getting too technical today. It's just redundant. I'm not the traditional influencer. I'm the influencer that's trying to solve problems, and I don't want to have to keep repeating myself over and over again about the HPA axis and fourth phase water and all this shit. Like, I don't want to get into that. So here's the first thing I'll tell you guys that you need to avoid if you want to attain immaculate health, if you really want to figure your shit out. First thing I'll say is caffeine. Get rid of caffeine. Whether that's coffee, whether that's tea, I don't care if it's green, black, yellow, purple, pink. If it has a significant amount of caffeine in it, anything over, I'd say like 20, if you're taking anything over like 25 milligrams of caffeine per day, I think it's too much caffeine to take. Maybe you can get up to like 50 and you might be okay. But so many of the drinks that I've seen out there, whether it's coffee, whether it's energy drinks, whether it's yerba mate, they'll be packing well over 100 milligrams of caffeine. And that kind of... I can explain like some of the physiological aspects of it. I'll just give you guys like some search terms, just some questions that you can ask AI. Just ask it, hey, here's a question that you can ask it. Will caffeine potentially have a potentially damaging effect on my HPA axis or my hypothalamus? And then it'll give you an answer. And then you ask it, okay, what is the HPA axis? And then it'll give you an answer. Then you'll say, okay, then you have to ask it, what's the hypothalamus? Like, what does it do? Then it'll give you an answer. Then say, okay, what might regular consumption of caffeine do over time if I continue to take it? What will it do to these brain regions? And then it'll tell you what that is, okay? So first and foremost, caffeine disrupts your HPA axis. It disrupts your ability to produce stress hormones on your own without the use of chemical agents, okay? So you don't want to do that. Also, caffeine will dehydrate you because it puts you in a more alert state. It puts you into a more sympathetic tone. That's going to make your tissues constrict. And when the tissues constrict on your body, like your fascia, that's probably going to expel water from the fascia, and that's going to lead to just in general dehydration. So caffeine is a no-go because for one, it's disruptive of your hormones. That's the first thing. You're essentially borrowing energy from tomorrow when you take caffeine. It's not giving you energy. It's essentially convincing you to stay alert when you don't really have the energy. So if you feel tired, it's because you're either not resting enough. That's usually it, or your mechanics suck. If your mechanics are good, if you have very good biomechanics, the water that's in your body is negatively charged. So essentially your body utilizes the energy from water that's negatively charged inside of your system to feed itself energy. When people come in and do functional patterns, like let's say they come over here to Project Function and they work in my facility and they try out some of this technology, every time they come in, even if they're a little bit tired, they'll come out of it being like, I feel significantly more energized. And I've had some people tell me, I feel like I just, drank a bunch of caffeine when I walked out of here, but it doesn't, I don't have any of the jittery feelings to it. I would have to speculate that they're more hydrated. That hydration leads to there being more negatively charged water inside their body, a fourth phase kind of water. Look up a man by the name of Gerald Pollack, the fourth phase of water. That kind of water is what creates energy in your system, and it makes you feel good. Caffeine disrupts that. Caffeine causes dehydration. Caffeine disrupts your hormones, and it triggers a stress response. And it triggers it biochemically. To take it a step further, you have to ask yourself, what makes more sense? Does it make more sense to drink something to give me energy, or does it make more sense for me to just produce the energy by just eating food? Clearly, food should be our energy source. Carbohydrates can be our energy source. I don't know if proteins can really be your energy source, but I know carbohydrates and fats can be your energy source. I don't think proteins can. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that they're great, but they're important for building tissue, keeping your tissue in the game. So food is there for energy, and if your body's not, if you don't feel like you're energized, it's because the food that it's because the food that you're consuming is it's because the caffeine that you're consuming is sorry, I'm getting at it. The reason that you feel like crap is because your hormones are dysregulated and because your fascia is misaligned. That's why you feel like crap. That's why you feel like you have low energy. The food that you're consuming will give you energy if you have those basics dialed in. If you have good mechanics and you have good functioning hormones, then at that point, the food you consume will give you all the energy that you need. Getting outdoors is also going to help you significantly. If you get outside and you get into the sun, there are theories out there that I tend to believe them, that human beings are photosynthetic, that we have our own version of photosynthesis. Therefore, if you get into the sun, we actually use the energy from the sun, and that helps us energize ourselves too. Grounding is another thing that you can do. So I know I said we're going to subtract things, but really there's some things that I just added there that you can do to that will kind of explain how you can get more energy throughout the day and be more alert. So the first thing you want to get rid of is caffeine. Stay away from caffeine. That's where it all starts. I feel like all the downstream effects of caffeine are what drive people towards getting into substance abuse in many regards, especially in modern times. Like, people aren't drinking as much alcohol these days. I don't know if people are smoking as much marijuana as they were in the past, but I know that people are downing caffeine like if it's going out of style right now, and it's absolutely horrendous on the body. So that's the first thing that I would say that you need to get rid of. Second thing that I would say is get rid of drugs. If you smoke marijuana, kick it. Get on a path to get rid of it. If you take psychedelics, whatever, once a month or whatever, kick the curb to that. Don't do psychedelics. Get rid of that crap. It has its contextual utility. Marijuana has a contextual utility, but you should use it maybe whatever, like once every 18 months to 2 years. It should be more of a perspective developer, not something that you rely on to try and find physiological balance. So get rid of the drugs. If it can be considered a drug, a psychoactive substance, get rid of it. So any exogenous, essentially, if your body doesn't produce it, don't take it. If your body does produce it, you shouldn't be taking it exogenously. I think that's how Jack Kruse says it. So caffeine, your body doesn't produce it. I don't know. Yeah, it doesn't produce it endogenously. It produces stress hormones endogenously, but your body should be able to produce its own energy. So therefore, that's why you shouldn't drink caffeine. If you take marijuana to try and get you to relax and be more introspective, then you should be doing that without the need of marijuana. Same thing with psychedelics. You shouldn't need psychedelics to figure your shit out. If you're dealing with some kind of a psychological crisis, you shouldn't need drugs to help you figure that out. So drugs, get rid of that. Another thing that I advise for is getting rid of the consumption of grains. These days, it's very easy to do this now because you have many companies that are out there that make grain-free alternatives. So if you're consuming like corn, you want to get rid of corn. You want to get rid of whole wheat. White rice is okay because it doesn't have as many lectins in it. But that said, I would consume that sparingly. I wouldn't eat it as much. But it's mainly just like wheat. I would stay away from what are the other grains? I'm not even in the grain game anymore. I don't even pay attention to it. So what are the other grains, guys? Help me out here. Since I'm not a diet person. So you have wheat, you have corn. Those are the main two that I know of. What's another one? I think like consuming seeds. You want to minimize how many seeds you consume. You want to minimize how many nuts you consume. You can consume nuts, but I would not advise consuming significant amounts of them. They're not foods that would be readily available at all times. Beans, I wouldn't, buckwheat or whatever, I would get rid of that too. I would not consume that. Oats, there's people that are talking about the consumption of oats. Don't consume oats. Anybody that says that you should consume oats is just bullshitting. There's public figures now talking about that. So you have quinoa, I would stay away from that too. So just get rid of grains. We didn't evolve to consume grains. Like, grains are a recent addition to the human diet. That said, there are ways that you might be able to consume grains, maybe a little bit better if you consume sourdough because it's fermented or whatever. I would just say stay the fuck away from it. There are amazing alternatives that exist. There are so many cooks that are out there that have these fantastic recipes. There's no reason you should even be consuming grains. I eat all kinds of delicious, like, desserts and whatnot that don't have any grains in them. So I would say cut out grains entirely. It's a mostly useless food. So get rid of that. Another thing I would say is get rid of industrial seed oils. Get rid of vegetable oils. I won't even go into that because everybody's talked about it. It's like you can do research on it. You can find other people that talk about it. I won't go into the technicals of it because I can't explain it as well as other people do. It's just pro-inflammatory. I tend to find that I get anytime that I consume it personally, my body gets more mucousy. I can feel more mucus in my throat whenever I consume them. I run experiential. Like, for me, my intuition is what's guided me through this entire process. I trust it more than I trust modern science and many things as it relates to solving problems. So I just find that industrial seed oils are not the way to go. So avoid canola oil, avoid vegetable oil, avoid corn oil, avoid those types of oils. Better ones to consume would be like tallow. Eat animal fats. You can even eat bacon fat. So best if it's organic, obviously. I would say just animal fats are good. Coconut oil is good. Olive oil is good so long as you don't cook it at too high of temperatures. You guys can do research on all that stuff. But avoid seed oils and vegetable oils. No good. In general, learn to eat less. Learn to get comfortable eating less. I think most people don't even realize how much they're eating on a regular basis. what's normal to them in terms of food consumption, I think is unhealthy. So what's become normal to them is not good. It's like, learn to count calories and just learn to eat less. Get on the scale, jump on the scale 5 or 6 times a day, and then measure where your weight is at, and then eat accordingly. If you're noticing that it's like your weight is not dropping after like following a diet after a week, then the probability is you're not cutting enough calories in your diet. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with being hungry. I mean, you don't want to be starving all the time, don't get me wrong, but at some level you have to, like, learning to balance out how much you're consuming is difficult. It can take years to learn that shit, to find out what's a good amount of food to eat. There's a lot of people that like to talk about that, if you have good hormone function, that will override the whole calories in versus calories out. I find that to just be absolute fucking bullshit. It's like, if your body is a machine, why would you want the machine itself to why would you want the machine to be burning excess fuel all the time? It doesn't make any sense. Like, would it make sense to just, like, if you have an ice car and you're filling it with gas, would it just make sense to have it overfilling the entire time? Obviously not. So I see diet in the same regard. It's like, why the body should be efficient at burning fuel, and having an excess amount of fuel is only going to cause more bloating. It's also how parasites begin to fester if you consume too much food. Get comfortable with eating less. I'll say that. Find out what your basal, get to a stable weight for you where you look fairly decently lean, and then stay within like 4 to 7 pounds within that range. Like, I'll give yourself like a 6 or 7 pound flux. To, like, let's say you have like a goal weight where you look decent. Let's say you can go 4 pounds underneath that, or about like 6 or 7 pounds above that, and you kind of just like, you float in between those weights. If you float between those weights and you learn to just kind of like manage your diet between those weights, you're going to be okay. The idea, you don't have to be shredded all the time. You don't have to be super ripped all the time. But that said, you should have the capacity to get ripped with your diet and be able to sustain that. And many people will say, well, now do you know it's really hard to stay on a caloric deficit in certain times? It's difficult. Well, you know what life is? It's fucking difficult. Animals have been dealing with caloric deficits for fucking hundreds of millions of years. It's nothing new. And it's like, this is how biology has, the animal kingdom is competitive, and hunger has been a part of that competitive cycle. So if you have an issue with being hungry, well, that's something that you need to figure out. You need to sort that out. You can do fasting as well, but fasting is cool. Don't get me wrong. I still do fasting like a few days out of the week. I at least do like whatever, like 20-hour fasts, sometimes 24-hour fasts. I'll like not eat for 24 hours. But in general, typically what I'll do is about like an 18-hour fast. You can employ that too, but the most important thing is to not overeat relative to your basal metabolic rate. So I will say, yeah, eating less. And then one thing that I'll say that you can actually add on is eat more seafood, consume more seafood. I have found that consuming more DHA, if I just consume more fish, your body can't produce its own DHA endogenously. And I think the structure of your mitochondria is built on the scaffolding of DHA. So essentially, if you want to have good mitochondrial health, you need to consume significant amounts of seafood. So the foundation of the functional patterns diet is seafood. So I would say, try maximizing the amount of seafood that you consume, and then minimizing the other types of foods that are out there in comparison to your seafood. So I think it would go like seafood, meats, and then after that you'd probably have like vegetables and fruits, and then everything else that may go above that. I think that's mostly it, though. I guess that's from a consumption standpoint. I would also say try avoiding ambiguity in terms of your behavior, but I think that's going to be a bit over people's heads right now. If you guys want me to get into that, I can, but I'll probably do that on another video. I want to leave this up to questions to the audience that's here right now, that Instagram's willing to fucking like send this message to on a live feed. It's ridiculous. I used to get 4 times as many people here on live feeds, but then since I've gotten blacklisted, it's been a lot tougher to reach my audience. So to whoever's here right now, out of the 50 people that are here. If you guys have questions, ask them now. Are you concerned regarding mercury in seafood? Yes, and what I do is just eat smaller fish. If you just go on Chat GPT, or if you go to any AI robot and you ask it, hey, what seafood has the least amounts of mercury in it, it will give you a list of the types of seafood that you can eat, and you will be able to find that. So I tend to eat like more salmon. I'll eat more octopus, foods like that, and I tend to do pretty well on that. I'm not particularly concerned about if your body is hydrated. I think it can deal with certain levels of heavy metal toxicity. I think that in many instances, people mistake all the toxicity, all the symptoms that they feel in their life that are oriented around dehydration. They mistake all the other problems as being what's really fucking them over. So they go on these cleanses and all this crazy shit to try and deal with their symptoms. But fundamentally what they are is dehydrated. Like if you could retain more water in your system, especially negatively charged water in your system, the probability that you would express inflammation in your system would be significantly lessened on just that variable alone, by itself. Doesn't hunger put you on a chronic fight or flight response? Not necessarily. I would say, I think for most people, if they don't know how to cope with their anxiety, that would be the case. But I wouldn't necessarily. The key point is, it's kind of like, it's not that you're, I don't know, I've fasted before for days at a time, and I don't really feel like maybe I am in fight or flight. But I think ketosis is a stress metabolism. And keep this in mind too. I'm not saying that you should be on a deficit all the time. You should be to some degree satiated with the foods that you're eating. So I'm not saying that, hey, look, like don't always be hungry all the time. I'm just saying learn to be hungry. It's okay to learn to be hungry and find out what's driving that hunger, because a lot of times, most of the time for most people, it's probably parasites that are driving that hunger. The parasites want you to overconsume. So that's why I would say, yeah, like don't. It's like the hunger can be deceiving is what I'm saying. It's not necessarily you that's hungry. It's not necessarily that your tissues need it or whatever, or the good bacteria in your body that needs it. It's more about the parasites tricking you to think that you need more food than what you do. Thoughts on blood pressure, specifically treating hypertension and hypotension. I think hypertension, most of the time, it's something that's going on in your environment. Like, I think that there's some personalities that are just, I've found in many instances, people that are a little bit more like kicked back, a little bit more chill, they oftentimes, if they face stressors, they get really they get hypertension pretty badly. So I think a lot of times that's a personality thing, and you have to kind of like identify what about your personality might be causing that type of shit, or what kind of people that you're attracting into your life that might cause that. I know a lot of people that really do, they engage with the stupidest kinds of discussions. They hang out with the dumbest types of people, and the stress that's involved is pretty ridiculous. They'll hold on to connections with individuals that just cause so much stress. I find that social stress is probably, out of all the stressors that impact people the most, especially in modern civilization, it's definitely not the consumption of food because it's accessible. Housing is not one of them. Obviously, dying of what do you call it? I guess dehydration, I guess is what it is. Yeah, we're not having animals chase us down. So the main thing that seems to stress us out in modern times is the way that we relate to each other. So it's in some way, shape, or form, you're going to have to start maybe investigating as to what it is that I'm not saying that this is for you, but I just tend to find that this is for most people, that the things that bind people to each other aren't good, and until you're willing to break unbind yourself from those values and the indoctrinations that you have, it's going to be really hard to figure out your nervous system. That hypertension, I tend to find, it's like developing like emotion. Like I get a sense that people try learning to develop emotional resilience to bullshit way too much. And my approach is that I don't have like, it's not that I don't have like resilience to it. I just get sick of people's bullshit too quickly. And I just say, if they're just bullshitting too much, I just generally tend to stay away from them, just because it's bad on my nervous system. So to give you guys an example of that, imagine that you're around somebody who's always talking about their goals and the things that they want to do to achieve them and shit like that. And they never do anything to actually like execute upon them. Like they're never doing anything that's like worth a shit to actually like, to try and, like achieve those goals. They're just talking all the fucking time. Or imagine you're around somebody who's just constantly talking shit about other people, but the things that they're talking shit about or the things that they're judging other people on are completely irrelevant. That's another thing. I know people, that's a big one. People that are in like gossip circles that orient around like nonsensical judgment, that's something that triggers stress hormones. And that can get pretty deep, because a lot of times that could be like family associations and shit like that, where family likes to just talk, they like to just talk shit on each other all the time and just gossip in those regards. Those types of relationships are fucking prime for triggering stress and anxiety. The way that we relate to each other socially, I say, is like one of the most, probably the most impactful thing, other than like having really shitty mechanics. I think that's the thing is right up there, if not more impactful, is the way that you relate to other people. And the kind of things that bond you to other people are extremely important. So like the kinds of bonds that I make with other people relate to physical things, like structural things. Like we bond over trying to understand like the mechanics of reality better, to inform ourselves how to move, how to adjust to changing circumstances. So the people that are around me are like an extension of my own nervous system. Like they're each like different neurons, and they're all sensing different things. And if I ask them a question about, hey, I'm having this issue in my life, how do you resolve this issue? Well, they'll be like, well, I did some research on X, Y, and Z, and then I've come to determine that if I do this specific thing, it fucks me over. So what I do is not do that, and now I feel better. Maybe you want to try that. So I find people around me that give me perspective on actual things that matter, and that helps. Whereas if I'm around people that are like, hey, like, my friend didn't buy me a fucking gift on my birthday, and I'm really pissed off about that. Or I got a promotion in my job, and somebody wasn't there to fucking like be there to help me with that, or somebody wasn't there to cheer me on. Or, I was playing sports when I was a kid and my parents didn't show up or whatever the fuck, and I'm mad about my fucking parents. And I'm like, you get people that go back in time and find shit from the past to like hold on to, like, and they complain about it. It's like people have all this petty shit that they engage in. I'm hoping I'm being coherent with what I'm saying, but there's so many things that people engage in that's irrelevant behaviorally, that is corrosive. And so learning to get away from people like that, people that just like mindlessly just go about trying to like just do shit because they're bored. Avoid people that are trying to escape their fucking anxieties. Like that's like the basic premise. And you have to assume, like what I've found with most people is that you have to assume that they're escaping their anxiety in some way, shape, or form. Usually people they engage in escapism all the time. And so anytime they tell me something, I can usually track it down to escapism. And it's just like a puzzle that I'm running through my head to say, okay, this person's trying to escape through this. Like, oh, look, this person tries to escape through having relationships. This person escapes through sex. This person escapes to having somebody fucking coddle them. They want to fucking like have somebody there constantly to make them feel good or whatever the fuck. This person escapes to more conversations. Like, look at this person. They always want to be talking to somebody at all times. They're very extroverted. Oh, look, they're engaging in escapism through fucking extroversion. Okay, great. Like, just assume that people are escaping. Assume that you're escaping to some degree. And then have conversations in your own head about like what you could be doing that are more relevant to help you deal with that fucking problem. So to go back to the whole idea of hypo or hypertension, I think a lot of times it could be like, sometimes you're in relationships that stress you, and then sometimes you're in relationships that just fucking drain the fuck out of you, and maybe cause hypotension where you just feel completely demotivated by life. I don't know. I think that some of that stuff's relevant. Thoughts on repeat? People seem to find a cure for a lot of diseases by following his principles. Bullshit. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the stuff is okay, but he believes in drinking coffee, and he'll say if you put sugar in it, that's what down regulates the adrenaline. So fucking like he finds ways. Sorry, I just got a text that just got me fucking like spinning. He'll find ways to try and circumnavigate the dysfunctions of a specific thing by doing like fucking like by taking more substances. So you'll say if you drink caffeine, consume it with like I think a little bit of fat and sugar, so then it down regulates the amount that it fucks with your stress response. But now it's like your body has to process the sugar and the fat too. It's like, and then it's still instituting a stress response. Like it's still going to be there. So with that in mind, it's like but my issue with Ray Peat is that he's too oriented by biochemicals, by biochemistry. And I tend to orient myself to more mechanotransduction and bioenergetics. And I like the bioenergetic way that I like the way that Jack Kruse looks at circadian biology. I find that to be really interesting. And then in terms of like mechanotransduction, I like to study like Tom Myers, people like that, to fix health. And so I think that people are just looking at the wrong influences when it comes to this shit. And it's not to say that Ray Peat is all wrong by what he says, but it's like he engages in a lot of half-truths, and his first principles aren't really fully coherent as I see it. I think some of the shit, like I probably consume too much sugar at certain times, and I normalized the consumption of too much sugar. It was okay for the sake of like understanding it, like that sugar isn't necessarily an enemy, but you gotta reel that shit in. And I think that people can take Ray Peat's stuff way too fucking far, and he kind of allows for it to just say, yeah, just consume more fucking sugar and like don't worry about the consequences of it or whatever the fuck. Like he's got good stuff, but I take everything that he says with a grain of salt. What is okay in terms of non-FP resistance training? I mean, I don't know. If you go to the fucking weight room and you do bicep curls and shit like that, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. You can do like tricep pull downs. You're just probably going to create hyper flexibility though when you do it. It's going to be imbalanced. I don't know, man. It's hard to say. Like, I try not to answer that. It's like, obviously I have a vested interest in it because I sell biomechanics, but I also like, I think I think there's quite a bit of incentive for people to want to spend money on what we do and learn what we do. So I'll just say that. As relates to counting calories, yes, getting outdoors and all that stuff can help, but the truth of the matter is I've had people that get outdoors to deal with their food cravings and whatnot. It's like I've been out in nature like literally for weeks at a time, and I'm outdoors the entire fucking time, and I'm in the sun and whatnot, and I'll get massive bouts of fucking food cravings. I really think that people underestimate like the amount of emotional bullshit that they deal with on a regular basis. Like, people don't understand that most of the times they're operating in a constant state of repression. So essentially, they deal with the situation, somebody slights them, somebody engages in a disrespectful behavior, and then the person suppresses their feelings to accommodate that person's bullshit. And then when they repeat that pattern with so many different people that are around them, they're in a constant state of repression. So really, if you want to be able to regulate your fucking your dietary habits in many instances, I tend to find that figuring out how to not be in a state of repression is extremely beneficial for that thing. Of course, it all has to be brought in together. It's a whole system, but the truth of the matter is, it's like cutting calories is never going to be easy for most people. Like if most people, like if somebody has significant deep frontline issues, or some people are more prone towards putting on body fat than others, for them to cut calories is significantly more difficult. And you can, and it's way harder to get them to cut calories. It's not, I've had clients where I tell them one time, I've had a couple of clients where I tell them one time, hey, I need you to be around this caloric range. And from that point on, they never miss that range. They're like fucking completely ripped fucking 2 weeks later, and they're completely fine. And it's usually men that are able to do that. Women have a much more difficult time to do that because they tend to be they're less mechanotransductively efficient. And so their body is more hormonally dysregulated as a byproduct. And so because of that, it becomes more difficult for them to control their emotions. And one of the ways that they cope is by over-consuming food. And so, like I said, there's loads of theories. Like even if you get out in the sun, guys, what people don't even realize is that if you get out in the sun and you have sloppy biomechanics, it means that your skin fascia is flaccid. If you have flaccid skin fascia, if the intersection between your skin and your muscle, the fascia in between, is loose because your mechanics suck, then if you get out in the sun, that's actually your body's not really going to absorb that sun very much. It's not really going to do much for you. It's why a lot of people who do get out in the sun end up looking like fucking like raisins as they get older. It's because the sun is legit damaging their skin. So if you're not fixing your mechanics in conjunction with getting out into the sun, then that's going to cause a problem. If you have emotional problems that you haven't figured out, I honestly think, guys, that the majority of people's health problems stem from having shitty relationships that aren't oriented around the correct first principles, which orients around like natural law, like functionality. Like when the relationship isn't oriented around functionality, that's where the problems begin. And it doesn't matter how good your biomechanics are. It doesn't matter how good your diet is. It doesn't matter how good you get, how much you get outdoors. All that shit gets erased if you're inherently fucking full of shit. Like if you're full of shit and you're around people that are fucking full of shit, that will weigh in your fucking head like crazy, because in nature we were social. Socializing is what enabled us to survive. All the other shit took a back seat to fucking socializing. So therefore, if you don't account for the social factors that lead to being in a constant state of repression, you will never sort out your fucking health. It's fucking impossible. So you can get out into the sun and go do all the biohacking. You can even try focusing on fixing your mechanics. But if you're a social dumb fuck and you don't know how to filter out stupid dumb fucks from your life, and you engage in idiocy and you're constantly suppressing your feelings to accommodate fucking morons in your life, I don't give a fuck what you do about your biohacking. You're not going to solve for that. I don't give a fuck how many sauna sessions you get. I don't give a fuck how many ice baths you do. I don't care how much you fucking meditate. Those social ties that you have with irrelevant ideas are going to be what fuck you over in the end. That's the number one thing that will fuck you more than anything. Repression I think that's the ultimate fucking killer of people for the most part. Do you believe a good massage therapist can help people in general? I'll say so. Yes, I think massage therapy has its place. That said, massage therapists cannot access the deepest parts of the deep front line. They can't palpate the deepest parts of the iliacus, for example, which is, it's impossible to get into. To even try dry needling it is fucking virtually impossible. To try and get into like the inner aspects of the pelvic bowl, it's like the pelvic floor, it's fucking impossible. To get onto the longitudinal ligament and release the entire longitudinal ligament, fucking impossible. You can't release the diaphragm. You can't release that. You can't release like the inner portions of your cranium. Like you have fascia that's on the inside of your cranium. You can't release any of that shit. Yeah, like you can't even access most of the bones in your body, really. It's not accessible because you have a layer of muscle that lays over the top of it. So to try and like move the muscle out of the way to palpate bone, even then is going to be really difficult to do. So it can be helpful. I think it's more like as a relaxation thing. Can you kind of correct imbalances with it? I don't think, not really. I'd say you can shift balance to become slightly better, but it's not really going to be that. I don't think it's going to be that impactful. What are your thoughts on high cholesterol due to higher red meat and egg consumption? I don't know. I'm undecided upon that. I really don't know. I think that the high cholesterol is probably going to be a stress issue because every time that you go through a stress response, I believe insulin goes up, glucose. I think your body begins to release insulin, glucose, and cholesterol. So I think that would probably come back to being an emotional fucking nutcase, not dealing with your stressors properly, not balancing your life out properly. Again, people try blaming the cholesterol issue on meat, on diet. I don't think that it's a diet that causes fucking higher cholesterol. I don't think there's a link with that. I just think that if somebody's hyper anxious and they don't know how to deal with that shit, that's going to be the biggest problem. Again, I'll tell you guys point blank, like people think that I'm the hothead. People think that I'm the guy that's like fucking tripping all the time and that I'm the one that's fucking the emotional fucking midget or whatever. I know many people think that about me, but I'm not in the state of suppression. I'm not in a state of repression. I'm not patient with people's bullshit, and I tell them directly, like, hey, look, like, this is how I operate. I'll tell people directly when they're crossing the line and just be like, hey, look, no, I'm not going to help you with this specific thing. And because I engage like that, sorry, I was just reading another question. And because I engage like that, I cut ties with a lot of people. And let me put it this way, guys. When you cut ties with people, and you lose your political leverage in certain areas, it means that you have to work really fucking hard to make up for losing those allegiances with people. Like the short game, you fuck yourself over in the short term by losing these connections. But I'll say that it's for the stress that you're going to face because you face for feeling the doubt is going to be significantly less than the stress that you're going to face being in a state of repression. Because repression you can't feel, like you can mask that. When you secrete oxytocin, it masks the stress hormones. When you secrete the dopamine, it masks the stress hormones. People don't even realize how much they are masking their repressive state. They don't even understand that. That's why they drink caffeine. They mask the pain that they feel with caffeine. People that do deadlifts and Olympic lifting, they're dealing with repression. They're dealing with the repression crisis. They're not dealing with like, oh, they think that they want to get stronger, but what they don't realize is that they're in a state of like trying to prove something to other people, wanting to be included, and that's why they engage in the behaviors that they do. And caffeine and the fucking kratom and the painkillers and all the kava and all the other shit that they take is strictly just there to mask that fucking pain of not feeling like they're included with other people. But then that causes a bunch of other fucking problems. I tend to find that people that sleep really well, if there's a reason I don't sleep well, it's because I'm tackling too many fucking projects. I've created too many problems for myself. So you can lose sleep for several different fucking reasons, but I don't think that many people are that productive. I've never really met that many people that are really, really productive, that really are dealing with that much shit. And I have to assume that the reason that they fail and they can't get good sleep or they can't recover well is because they are in a constant state of repression. Either they themselves are completely full of shit, or they are full of, or they could be full of shit because they're around people that are full of shit. Or it is just the fact that other people are just throwing too much shit at them. It could be a whole mix of those things, I guess. Thoughts on meditation along with FP? I saw you engage with Cory Muscara stuff. Yeah, meditation kind of has its place, but honestly, bro, like, I tend to find that if I just fix my mechanics, it's not really that. I think it's necessary. I think at some point you have to wrestle with the idea of like being a human being. The fact that we can like change the environment so fucking much and do the things that we do. I think we do have to contend with what is there once all your anxieties have been surpassed. When you don't have to look at other people as stepping stones, what's left? When you don't have to worry about your survival, what is there that's left? Those are the types of questions that I think meditation allows for you to get into. That said, I feel like people stay in that state too fucking much, and it only takes you so far. But yeah, you can do it along with FP. I don't really do it. I do heart rate variability training every once in a while, but even then that, like, I feel like that wanes in its benefit. You have to do it very periodically. Otherwise, I think you burn out receptors doing that shit too. What do I think about GOTA training and knee over toes? It's garbage. It's just trash. I mean, it's just like it's proven to be ineffective. Like, they don't have an FP evidence page, bro. So that already tells you everything. I think that's mostly it, guys. For an athletic 34-year-old man, what are the best routines or of workouts, and what conditioning to do weekly? See, look, bro, let me put it this way to you. When I was I'm fairly athletic, man. I've always been pretty damn athletic. I know a lot of people like to talk a lot of shit, but I'm an athletic guy. When I was in my early 20s, I used to go ham training. I used to work out really fucking hard. I would cram in about like 80 sets of it. I would pride myself in cramming in as many exercises as I could. Hard fucking exercises, max exertion. I would try and cram in like 80 sets of exercises like in 50 minutes. Something like that. Maybe even less. I think sometimes I would get like 80 sets in probably like 45 minutes, sometimes 40. And I would just go boom, boom, boom. And there was a point where I think I had worked out. I don't remember how. It was like 2 weeks straight. And I fucking went like super ham each day. And then I gave myself walking pneumonia. I got bronchitis. And then I came back too soon. And then I fucking went ham. And then I got fucking walking pneumonia. And it fucked me up. I thought I was going to die. Like, I could fucking feel like fluid breathe, like going on. Like, I felt like I was breathing fluid at the time. There was no real internet to really like research what was going on. Like, Google wasn't then what it is now. And so I went to a doctor, and he's like, oh yeah, you got pneumonia. And I was like, fuck. By the time I went to the doctor, I thought I was going to die. And so after that point, I was like, I'd rather just focus on trying to be healthy and inch my way towards better athleticism and find a better way of doing this so I don't overtrain. And so that's what brought me on this journey with functional patterns. It's like, just because you can move around doesn't mean that you should. And what I advise for people is I tell them to do the exact opposite that most influencers will tell them to do. I say, treat your body like an old person, not like a young person. Don't get me wrong. You can do Muay Thai. You can do wrestling, light wrestling and whatnot. You can do boxing. You can do functional patterns movements and whatnot. But the premise of how you should orient your training should focus on undoing imbalances, correcting movement dysfunctions. That's how you should approach everything that you do. If you're not focusing on addressing imbalances, you're literally just building a problem for yourself when you get older. So if you're a young guy, if you're around 34 years old, you still have time to turn it around and focus on fixing your imbalances. If you don't do it, then I fear for what the fuck you're going to have to face when you're my age or a little bit older. As many people that are older than me right now are having to face. People that used to say I was crazy, that were older than me by like 10 years, that used to tell me that I was crazy, are having to face those circumstances now. Some of these motherfuckers blocked me, and I've realized recently that they've unblocked me because they're realizing that they need me now. They were on gear, they were on testosterone, they were on steroids. Now they're having to get the fuck off of them because they're realizing that the symptoms that are coming as a result of becoming dependent on these substances are unbearable, and they're having to get off of all of this shit. This is what's happening right now. So I'll just tell you right now that if you're not trying to fix your imbalances right now, when you're my age, when you're 41 years old, life is going to change for you, and it's going to be fucking brutal. So you could take life on like a fucking meathead and just keep working out mindlessly and hope that it's going to work out for you. And you just say, hey, look, I'm going to do cardio 3 times a week. I'll do this type of I'll work chest, triceps, fucking middle delts on Monday, back biceps, posterior delts on Tuesday. I'll fucking I'll go fucking legs on Wednesday, and I'll do a little bit of core on that. Then I'll start all over again on Thursday and do that, follow that same fucking program. I mean, you can do that, but I'll just tell you point blank that I know where that road leads, and it's not anywhere fucking good. it's not anywhere good. So if you want to take my advice and you want to do the right thing and not be a fucking retard, I would suggest fixing your imbalances. I don't really apologize for being so fucking direct about that and being kind of like so abrasive. But at this point, I'm just like, it's very obvious that it makes the most sense to just train to balance your body out. And that's what you should be doing. I can't tell you how many people have completely, like, when you work out hard, you have to realize if you work out hard or you like really strain your body, what you're doing is putting a significant amount of strain on your bones. And yes, that will help you improve your bone density. But what it's also going to do is it's going to harden your bones, and it's going to reduce the amount of bone marrow volume in your bones themselves. Like the more imbalanced your bones are, the less bone marrow that's probably going to be in them. And that's where the majority, I believe like 90 to 91% of all your stem cells are produced in your bones. And then all of your blood cells are produced in your bones. And if you don't have a new supply of blood to go into your system, and you don't have new stem cells to go into your system, good fucking luck trying to regenerate as you get older. And when you work out like an idiot and you continue to torsion your body in one direction, and you continue to compound your asymmetries as you get older, what you're going to do is reduce that bone marrow volume, and then the cascading effects are going to be fucking absolutely horrendous for you. So I would just say that the smartest thing that you could do is focus on trying to maximize your functionality, minimizing imbalance in your system. I would say that's the most important thing that you can do. I think we're getting close to the end. I think I got everything in. They give me a 1 hour limit on this video anyway, so I think I'm pretty much close to that limit anyway. Do you think it's possible for a very skilled massage therapist to palpate the psoas, or is it buried too deep? The thing is with palpating the psoas, what you're hoping for is that it's going to auto-regulate, and after it's been palpated. So let me put it this way: the only way that the psoas is going to, in theory, auto-regulate back to its normal state is if the muscles that activate oppose to it. Let's just say, for theory's sake, that the glute max is the antagonist to the psoas. Right? Let's say the glute max is the antagonist. What would be the other antagonist? I get the glute max. I guess the abdominal wall. I guess the rectus abdominis might antagonize it to some degree. I'd imagine maybe the obliques in some capacities would antagonize it. But essentially, there's going to be antagonists that orient opposite to it. If those antagonists don't fire correctly, the auto-regulation of the psoas itself is going to be dysfunctional. So if you're hoping that the functional auto-regulation is going to be there, you have to hope that the muscles on the opposite side of that psoas, or that are running on that same continuity, that the tension redistribution is going to like happen functionally, but most of the time it doesn't. Can I self-diagnose imbalances by getting your course, or do I actually have to go to an FP gym in person? No, you can self-diagnose for sure. Yeah, the 10-week online course. I talk about all kinds of dope shit in that course. It's such a good fucking resource. I can't even believe I even dropped the information that I do in that program. It really is ridiculous. If you guys, by the way, I hate trying to always sell the damn 10-week online course. I'm not a big fan of it. But if you haven't bought my 10-week online program, just do it. It's fucking super cheap. It's more valuable from a practical standpoint than a doctorate of physical therapy. It's way more practically useful for fixing problems than a doctorate of physical therapy, and it costs under $200. If you haven't bought it, come on, dude. Get your shit together. Get it together. You need to fucking save some money and buy the 10-week online program. It's a no-brainer. I'm not even gonna try and sell it. Just fucking, you guys listen to me talking. I clearly know what the fuck I'm talking about relative to the rest of the industry. You'd be a fool not to buy it. Shay Beats writes he's gonna get it. Cool, awesome, man. Hit it. Would you say the best massage to get is a mix of deep tissue with stretching, like Thai massage? No, stretching is literally toxicity on the body. I would not do that. Do you think foot dysfunctions these are great questions. Do you think foot dysfunctions need to be addressed first, or do they gradually get better when addressing the glutes and hips first? I discovered some nerve entrapment in my heel. you're going to try and fix. If you want to actually fix your foot imbalances, you have to address everything that's happening proximal to your spine. You need to fix your glutes, your core, and get all the muscles near your spine functioning better. If they don't function better, it's like, I don't care what you try doing with your feet, is not going to happen. The nerve supply to get your feet to contract in a way that's going to correct an imbalance, like the nerve supply needs to be there for that even to happen. And if you have a compressed lumbar spine, it's not going to happen. What about Feldenkrais therapy? Have you tried it? I've been around it before. It's too passive. Yeah, it's not very good. I'm not a big fan of it. It's like, I'm going to just give you guys a straight answer. It's mostly bullshit, guys. Am I against yoga? Yes, I'm against the majority of what yoga is. Like, yeah, I'm against the majority of it. If no static stretches, how would you go about getting someone to kick higher? Just learn better kicking mechanics. That's really it. You when you stretch, you're just trying to circumnavigate fucking having better kicking mechanics. The issue is you're going to have some adductors on one side that are going to be tight, and then some adductors on that same side that are going to be loose, and there's going to be the exact opposite probably dynamic on the opposite leg. So if you stretch your adductors on one side, you're going to only stretch the ones that tend to want to lengthen, and then you would stretch the adductors on the other one that are on the other side. The only ones that are willing to want to stretch are going to be the ones that stretch in that situation. And both, you're going to have some adductors that get stretched on one side and other adductors that stretch on the other side. So you're going to, like, when I hear about people saying, hey, I want to get my kicks higher, I'm just like, good God, like, why? Oh, so you can just throw high kicks. And I'm like, so you're going to trade your functionality and you're going to spiral your body even worse. You're essentially going to turn your muscles into wet noodles on your legs so you can accommodate a certain type of striking. For what? Like, I don't want that shit. I don't fucking care. Like, I'm like, I can't kick that high. I can kick like somewhat decently high, but I'm like, I don't really care to get my kicks super high up. I tend to find that people who can kick really high up end up having issues with like hip necrosis and shit like that, and massive amounts of like sciatica and shit. So yeah, I would not recommend like trying to improve your kicking height by doing stretching. That's like a very, very sloppy way of going about it. What are the most important habits for a 20-year-old male trying to get his shit in order? Well, that's quite the fucking question. Understand the basics of reality, bro. I would just say here's some books that I'll recommend, and don't be lazy about reading them. I'll say that first and foremost. Read The Tyranny of Words by Stuart Chase. That's like a great book to guide you down this path of understanding like how to perceive reality. Like The Tyranny of Words is a great book to start with. Like get on that book first and foremost. Another book I would recommend is Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers by Robert Sapolsky. The Definitive Book of Body Language is another book that I read that I found to be very useful. There's another one called The Art of Speed Reading People. That's a pretty good one. Like understanding how to like put people into their categories is important, and then knowing how to react to them is also very important. This Art of Speed Reading People is a very good book. So I would say that would be a good place to go. Go talk to women. I would say like go out there, get rejected a bunch of times. Fix your imbalances, fix your fucking posture. I would say that's going to be it. That would be like another thing that you need to do. It's a requirement in this life. And work hard. Like work hard at whatever profession that you're going to try and pursue. You need to fucking work hard at it. There's just no ways around it. It's like, if you got 16 hours in a day, be as productive in those 16 hours as you can. Don't spend your time being a 20-year-old that's partying and living like an idiot when you're in your 20s. Don't do it. Like fucking only losers think that way. Like life is really nice in my 40s, I'll tell you that much. Like, goddamn, I'm so glad that I didn't waste most of my fucking 20s just doing a bunch of bullshit. So if you're a 20-year-old, live for your 40s, bro. I'll just tell you point blank. I made that choice when I was in my 20s, and now I'm in my 40s, and I'm just like this all fucking day. Like, just, bap, bap. I don't even need to be fucking, I do well for myself financially, but I'll say that I don't even need to do well for myself financially because I worked all these things out in my head when I was in my younger years. So sometimes if you go approach women, you're going to kind of have to go out and socialize a little bit. And that's kind of have you in the night scene or whatever. But don't drink alcohol. Don't do drugs. Avoid drugs. I'll say that that's one of the biggest things that you can do. Beyond the books that I recommended that you read, don't do drugs. Stay the fuck away from drugs. Drugs, raw dog life, bro. Raw dog life. I got 28 seconds left here. I'll just tell you this is the last thing that I'll have on this live feed to say. Stay the fuck away from drugs. So listen to me on that more than fucking anything. If you avoid drugs, you have a great chance at making it in this fucking life and developing real fucking resilience. Grab your balls. Raw dog fucking life. And don't escape in the way that so many other people do by taking drugs. I got 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, and it's about to drop me off. Later, guys. Bye.